Welcome guys to this video. In this video I'll be showing you how I create my retouching action, and I'll also like to let you know I have a retouching pack for sale. The link will be on my bio. So in this video I'm going to show you how I do the retouching and do dodge and burn, and also whiten the teeth and eyes as well. So let's get into the video. So first of all, we're going to duplicate this layer twice, and then we'll rename the first one to high texture, and then the lower one to low smooth. We go to Gaussian blur on this low smooth, and then I like to use 5 because 5 right here you can see the blemishes are already out of sharpness. You can see it's quite smooth, so I think I'm okay with 5, and I'll click OK, and then I'll go to my high texture and go to image, and then I'll click on apply image, and then I'm going to select low smooth on the layer, and then blending to be subtract, offset 128, scale of 2, opacity of 100. So I'm going to click OK, and right here you can see here's the texture and here will be the smooth side of it. So I'm going to duplicate and also duplicate the high texture, and I'm just going to click my alternate key to clip mask and do the same for the smooth, and then I'll change my high texture blending mode to linear light, and then I go back to my low smooth copy, and I'm going to use my brush. I'm going to set this brush to wet of 30, load of 30, mix of 30, flow of 30, and this is 0. So I'm going to go through the retouching of this image, and just watch me closely, and I believe you can achieve a better result. So first of all, to take out this texture, these blemishes on the face, we'll go to high texture using our clone stamp, and make sure your opacity is 100 opacity, 100 flow. And I'm going to reduce my brush. I'm going to right click to make sure the hardness is somewhere within 30 to 50, and I'm using my soft round brush, and size, I can always adjust the size with my bracket closed and bracket open. So I'm going to zoom into this image. You can see there's a lot of blemish on the face, so I'm going to clone stamp the good areas and replace it on the bad areas, just like that. This process usually takes time, but you have to be patient and do a good work. So I'm just going to fast forward this part a bit. So yeah, every time you want to patch the face, you have to click holding down your option or alternate key to pick a good area and replace it. And that's how you do around the image to take out the blemishes. So I'll just skip through this process. So now we can go to low smooth copy and switch our tool to the mixer brush, still on the same figures or the same values. So I'm just going to zoom to the forehead. I'll start from the forehead and try to avoid highlighted areas, and try to not to mix from these areas. to the highlighted areas. So I'm just going to do it gradually. And while doing this, I tend to increase my brush and reduce my brush with my left hand. So you should take note of this. So I'm just going to blend through. And I'm increasing my brush and reducing my brush on areas, small areas like this. And I'm just going to hover around her head. This process usually takes time for beginners, but if you're already into retouching, this shouldn't be much of a big deal. So yes. So while blending through the nose, you try to reduce the brush and try to follow the highlights and the shadows on the face. And there you go. And I'm just going to get rid of the areas that don't have uniform skin color. I'm just going to make sure I try to balance them using this brush. So using this brush doesn't really have a specific way of moving it. You just have to understand where your light is coming from and where your highlights and your shadows are, and you just have to follow it to get the best out of your image. So I'm just going to do this and I'm trying to follow the pattern of the face. So I go under the lips and just blend through. For starters, I would advise you take your time to do this for a better result. And I'll go over the eyeshadows, and I'm going to zoom in. I can still see some blemishes. I'm going to get rid of them using the clone stamp and just go over it 1 or 2 times, just to make sure the texture is also uniform as well. And we are almost done. And yes, now I have a better skin. We have a better skin, and we'll just go to the neck and just finish up with the neck as well. And try to zoom in and try to zoom out to see if your image is coming out the way you want. And please note, if you discover your image is looking quite too smooth, you can always come to your low smooth copy and reduce the opacity to a certain level where you're satisfied with it. But for this image, I'm going to leave it for 100% because I think it looks good. I'm going to merge it up and then duplicate as I want to do my dodge and burn. So I'm going to run it, and then I'll start my dodge. I'm going to reduce the opacity to 20 or 20, let's say 20, and then the flow to 20 as well. Check your hardness, make sure your hardness is 0, and then I'm going to follow the dark areas, which are the shadow areas, and just a little touch on them, and like so. And then I'll go to my dodge and just tap on the highlighted part of the face, as you can see. just a little touch on them. And then I remove my black and white layer and I'll group this together and then remove the visibility. You can see the effect of the dodge and burn. And I'm zooming to see better. And I'm going to toggle between the visibility, as you can see. And that's our dodge and burn. Try not to overdo it so you don't make it look like bruises on the face. So next I'm going to measure up and delete this my black and white layer, and then I'm going to run the teeth whitening. Well, I think her teeth looks good already, so but just in case, use a brush using a white color on the layer and you just go through them like this. I think her teeth looks fine. And then I'm going to run for the eyes, and I'll run the layer and I'll go to the eyes. I think the eyes here need some adjustment, so I'm going to just clean up the eyes. Make sure your opacity is still at 20 so you don't overdo. So I'm just going to brighten the eyes just a little bit. And we are good. I'm going to measure up and then I'm going to add my color grading. So this image, I'm going to use the Fair Exclusive. As you can see, all the colors and the highlights are popping. And probably I'll just reduce the opacity a little bit to make it look not too contrasty. And so my image is done. So guys, thanks for watching, and you can check the link at the description. I'll leave the link to purchase my lot and my actions, and you can always drop a comment. I'm going to reply every comment. If you get anything confusing, I can always do another video, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.